It is a great time to be a Sonic fan. What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I'm Tim with the Small Time Arcade, and today, Entertainment Weekly came out of the blue, dropped 4 new images from Sonic 3, as well as an interview with director Jeff Fowler and Ben Schwartz, the voice of movie Sonic. And we're going to take a look at these images and kind of like pick apart this interview. So it might be a little lengthy video, but that's what we're here for, guys. We're excited. But on entertainment, how Sonic 3 went bigger with Shadow's origin story, and 2 Jim Carreys. Everything is pumped up. So before I get into the interview, I want to go over these images real quick. So we're gonna kind of pinpoint our these images, I guess, kind of how they look in the movie. But I'm guessing. So this is Shadow the Hedgehog, of course, looking amazing. I think he's in Tokyo here. And I'm not gonna say because of that guy. I'm just gonna say this looks to be maybe after he escaped from Prison Island, and he made it to Tokyo. They usually give Tokyo that kind of rainy setting, kind of dark, gloomy. Um, that's just my guess, but this could be after he got out, kind of sees the world firsthand, and kind of sees how shitty everything might be. I guess in his worldview, after losing Maria, after reflecting on her, this could be his first outing. This one I want to come back to because it looks. We'll come back to it. This is our look at both Robotniks. We have Ivo and Gerald, both played by Jim Carrey. This looks like where he first met up with him, where Ivo first found his grandpop.
In the saggy flesh.
Kind of see everything's kind of run down, where he's, going all welcome home, boy. And you got Ivo and Gerald. It's so weird to see this. So I'm curious how they're going to explain this in the movie, because in the games, of course, if you follow the lore, Gerald was dead, right? And I got so many questions as to why he's here. But I have faith that they're going to do a great job. This is a look at Team Sonic over at the Chow Gardens restaurant over in Tokyo. Tokyo is a very fun culture. They love to do stuff like this with their animated characters. So I guess in the interview, they discussed this that what better place for the Chows to be brought in than a fun themed restaurant in Tokyo. Let's come back to this image that I talked about earlier. This one, I think I've seen this a lot somewhere before, but I hope this is kind of like a concept, maybe. I don't want this to be the final shot. Stone's feet look kind of weird here. I don't know. It looks fine. But aside from that, aside from how it looks, this tells me that Team Sonic, of course, is not going to be teamed up with Eggman for long. That's where this is the same outfit that he had, I guess, when he first meets up with old Grandpop here. Crazy to see that these two are teamed up together. So, but it looks like they're in London. This looks like they are on their way to get the Ark, I guess, out of, I don't know where exactly that is in London, but I can pull up the trailer. You'll see it in the trailer that by London Bridge or so, when that giant ship comes out of the water, that's the Ark, I'm guessing. That's these guys probably boarding the Ark. But enough of all that. Let's jump on in to the interview. Again, I'm going to try my best to kind of speed read through this and hopefully not take up too much time. But 20 years ago, Jeff Fowler, the current director of the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, began his career as a character animator and visual effects for Blur Studios. Of course, his first project being Shadow the Hedgehog. But so it worked on Sonic games. We would get hired to create cool looking animations that could be put into video games that would get the gamers excited about what they were playing. So he recalled it in an interview with Entertainment Weekly. So Shadow became one of his first jobs, and that is a fucking great story to see that come full circle. Starting your career as an animator for Shadow the Hedgehog in 2005 to being a director of Sonic 3 and bringing Shadow to the big screen for the first time. That's a dream come true, all right? Damn it, Jeff Fowler. So, The character is introduced previously in 2001 Sonic Adventure 2 as an arch rival for the title hero. Genetically engineered with alien DNA by Professor Gerald Robotnik, Shadow was another speedster, but he also came with teleportation powers and some fun gadgets like a motorcycle and even handguns. He was so popular that Sega hired Blur, including Fowler, to help create the character's own standalone game, 2005's Shadow the Hedgehog. Awesome. So we'll kind of like read through here a little bit. Let's see here. They're talking about the CGI, talking about how the games or how the movies are like amping it up, that there might be more Avenger style moments, but really it's just kind of bringing your A game now. With every movie, you got to get bigger, you got to get better. So here's a fun little thing from Ben Schwartz. So I guess he came in. Um, when he first did the movie, I guess he auditioned, or he might have done a 5 minute short. But right here, you can talk about Schwartz's first inkling that the movies might take off came with the response to the first film's first trailer in 2019, or as he calls it, the trailer that shall not be named.
Gotta go fast.
Everybody remembers Ugly Sonic. He got his redemption in Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. What? The YouTube preview racked up millions of views, though a lot of fans had a lot of things to say about the design of Sonic, who was originally rendered with a more human like face and teeth. Paramount taking the money and the time to adjust it a bit. It shows that we care. We're listening, the actor says. We are fans. We feel connected to the fans. Yeah. Yeah. So this was right here when he first showed up. So the fact that some kids can now recognize Schwartz as the voice of Sonic years later feels exciting to him, especially considering he wasn't supposed to play Sonic originally. He met Tim Miller, the director of the first Deadpool and co-founder of Blur Studios, where Fowler worked at the time. He was trying to get a Sonic movie made and needed someone to voice the character for a 5 minute short that would be used to sell the concept to Paramount Pictures. There literally wasn't a contract. I just did it for the test, knowing that they'll probably find someone bigger and more famous, he remembers. But they just loved that test so much that they kept me around. I don't know if this concept still exists. If anyone's found it, little 5 minute proof of concept for a Sonic movie, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it, how it looked, how it worked, and if they used Ugly Sonic for that concept. But that's cool. So skipping through this, this is right here. So, similar to how the ending of Sonic the Hedgehog 2020 teased Tails ahead of the character's formal entry in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the sequel came with an end credits tag to tee up the arrival of Shadow. Now, the third film delivers the major beats of that character's story, even if some of them are a bit more heavy than Sonic's own origin. No spoilers, but there's an emotional core to Shadow's journey that involves Gerald's granddaughter Maria. If you don't know by now, since 2001, what the story of Shadow and Maria is, I'm not going to ruin it for you. But just be ready for some shit. All right. So, um, let's see. Let's go back down here a little bit. So, yeah, see this gets me because this is Shadow's origin story. The team knew they needed another element to tell it. The other Robotnik. Their hope from conception was for Carrie to play Shadow's creator on top of his duties as Ivo. Fowler acknowledges it was such a big ask. Logistically, it meant the Ace Ventura actor would have twice the amount of work since they couldn't possibly film both performances on the same days. So Carrie's transformation into Gerald alone took 3 hours in the makeup chair. Didn't think we would have it done, but yeah. Let's see. Right here. The material seemed to write itself, the director also notes. At first, they focused on drawing parallels between these two mad scientists, not just with bald heads and giant mustaches, but also in their behavior and their attitude, he says. But then, just from a storytelling standpoint, it needed to go in some ways to create the right sort of conflict for the film. I don't want to give anything away, but it was really fun to plot that. So, to come about all those interactions and tell a different story that needs to happen. So, this is where it gets a little interesting because of things that happened to Maria, no spoilers. Gerald wanted to commit genocide against the entire human race.
I plan to give you a
So I could see maybe in this movie he takes it just a tad too far, and Ivo Robotnik's kind of like, hey, you know what? Like, I only cared about the hedgehog. Maybe not kill all of humanity. I don't know. We'll see how that goes and how they're gonna utilize the arc. But it's crazy because I don't see them really having any reason to bring in something like the Bio Blizzard um, to this story, sadly. And I was, really excited to see the Bio Lizard. I'm happy with what they did for Sonic Cross Shadow Generations and bringing the Bio Lizard up to date. I would love to see a Sonic Adventure 2 remake for Bio Lizard alone. I don't think Bio Lizard's gonna make it into this movie. So we'll end this interview right here by continuing the tradition set by the previous two films. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 will also set the stage for a potential fourth movie to introduce another video game character after Tails and now Shadow. Of course, don't expect Fowler to give up the goods just yet. It's fun to see the fan debates online about who's coming up next, who's going to be teased at the end of the film, he says. We have a lot of the same conversations. We've all got our favorites on the filmmaking side, and we're all making great cases for it should be this one or that one. It is fun to keep that anticipation, so this movie is no different in terms of teasing new characters. The thing is, I thought we were getting a secret character, anyways, throughout the plot of this movie. So, um, if we get a character throughout the movie, my guess is Rouge. But if they don't bring in any more characters and it's only Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, Shadow, excuse me, Gerald, Maria, um, where do you go from here? I've seen some people talking about Silver the Hedgehog. We'll go ahead and come back here. I've seen a lot of people talking about Silver the Hedgehog being the one that they want to introduce. I see Amy being the one that they want to introduce. I've seen secret characters talked about being Team Chaotix being introduced. Where can the story go after this light interpretation of Sonic Adventure 2? A lot of people think it's Silver. I don't know how they could incorporate that story. They kind of already done some with the the Flames of Disaster. Sorry, in the Knuckles show, and that was more of a throwaway gag line. Maybe he can come from a different dimension. Everyone's gonna come from a different dimension at this point. So Rouge, I don't know how she can set up the story because she kind of just goes with Shadow essentially as a government agent. Um, I can honestly see it being Amy being the one that's coming into the story because if we're gonna do another story, I'm feeling like it's gonna kind of edge a little bit towards the Sonic CD side. Maybe, right? We will probably get Metal Sonic either at the end of this movie or as the big bad of the next movie. And Amy and Metal Sonic have their history, right? So it's interesting, dude. But I thought this was great. I love our first looks. I love the interview. 37 days away from this movie's release. So many questions yet unanswered. I'm excited. Are you guys excited? Well, who do you think the character they're going to introduce is? Who do you think this character is? Do you think BioLizard is going to show up in this movie? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Guys, as always, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out, y'all.